Welcome to Science 102, Survival of the Fittest, a Las Montañas ninth grade biology class. I'm going to talk to you about the syllabus right now and what this class entails. Like, what do you need to know to do really well at this? So let me shrink myself down. All right, so if you open up your Google Classroom and you go to Science 100 Biology, the first term, term one, is Science 102 Survival of the Fittest. And it asks you for this assignment to open the document called Sci 102 Survival of the Fittest Syllabus. So I'm going to go ahead and do that because this is the document we're going to be talking about. It's taking a long time because it's recording too, so it's like, I don't know how to do two things at once. I literally think computers can't do two things at once. I remember learning that in college. Or maybe they can, I don't know, who knows. Okay, so this is our syllabus. It just gives you the introduction information, like when we're taking it. My phone number is at the top of the syllabus because I really want you to call me or text me if you have any questions. If you are, like, if you don't ask questions when you're confused, then you're not going to do very well because everybody's going to get confused. You guys are going to point out things that I've uploaded wrong, and I need you to do that to help me out too, because otherwise we will be lost together. All right, so I just noticed a typo. This says 301, so I'm going to change it right now. It won't on yours because I'm changing it right now. But this class is called Survival of the Fittest. And basically the topic of this class, what we're going to be learning about, is biological evolution. So the topic is evolution. You probably have heard of evolution before because it's a big topic in society. Like some people don't believe in evolution. Some people are like, well, I believe in creation instead. What evolution is the modern scientific explanation for how the world came to be how it is, basically. So it's like, how did all of the life get here, and how is it all related? Evolution isn't going to tell us where the very first cell came from. So science has a lot of answers to questions. It makes us ask a lot of questions, but one question that science doesn't have an answer to yet is, where did life come from? Where's the first cell from? Science doesn't have the answer to that question. We can't travel back in time to see it happen. And so there is no scientific answer for where did life come from. We know that as soon as life got here, it behaved certain ways. And how life has behaved since then, that's basically the study of evolution. Evolution is my favorite biology topic because it makes so much sense. I kind of like to think of it as the history of life on Earth. So we think way back, and there was only life in the ocean for a long time. And so there were things like trilobites, and that's really cool. And then we move to things living on land and different plants, and you have big forests, big rainforests, tropical forests that are covering like a lot of landmass, and there's dinosaurs, and then you get to some mass extinctions, all the dinosaurs die, and then we have the excitement, I think, of like the saber-toothed tiger and the mammoth and the dodo bird, and then those things go extinct, and now here we are. So that's really how I like to think about evolution, is it talks about and it explains like how come even though mammoths are extinct, now we have elephants, and elephants are a lot like mammoths, but they're not exactly the same thing. And evolution explains the link between the elephant and the mammoth. So it's pretty cool that way. So even though this class is called Survival of the Fittest, because that's like our theme, our topic, what we're going to be learning about, the scientific theory that we're going to cover, is evolution. Okay, the next thing here is policies and procedures. If you've had me before, you know I am big on policies and procedures. Mr. Arneson and I have a million policies and procedures. They're usually just about the same. That way you guys can keep following our policies from class to class, since we teach a lot of classes at Las Montañas. But when you're online at home, it's really hard to have policies because it's like, well, there's no bathroom pass at home because like you just pause your video and go to the bathroom. So my best advice to you is just to kind of stay on schedule. So there's going to be 18 assignments per class. If you do one per day, then you will be able to get through it within the 4 to 5 weeks dedicated for that term. So I say on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, do an assignment, and you'll be good to go. Before the tests, you're going to need to study a little bit, but that's basically all. Now, we have discussed kind of the policies and procedures that we're going to have when you do get back to class, if we get to do a hybrid model this year and actually see you face to face. So we don't have to worry about those now, but if we do get back face to face, we do have like a plan to have breaks every day so that you can go to the restroom during breaks and stuff. We're going to have school will be totally different than it has been in the past, even at Las Montañas. So we don't have to worry about that right now, but I'm just letting you know, like, we have thought about that, and we will let you know what those policies are going to be once, and hopefully, if we get back to that hybrid model. Okay, read the directions and ask questions. There's going to be a lot of directions on here. Usually I spend time giving directions, right? Like I'll repeat them, call on somebody to make sure that they understand what the directions are. That's not possible for me to do online. So you have to take that responsibility upon yourself. Make sure you read them. And if you have questions, ask a question. I will refer you back to assignments if you missed part of the question or part of the directions, because I'm spending a lot of time making directions so that hopefully it'll be clear to you. All right. Please don't be afraid to ask me questions. I know people are like, there's no such thing as a stupid question. I mean, sometimes there are stupid questions, but you don't have to be embarrassed when you ask me a stupid question because I ask stupid questions all the time. All right. Since this class is going to be all online, you really need to focus on learning and understanding instead of just turning things in. My lovely little daughter, she was doing her online classes last year, because we had to end school and go online for the last part of class. And she had such a difficult time because she was just like, I want to turn this in. I want to get through with this. Like, this is due and I just want to turn it in. Well, there's a series of things you have to do before you get to the assignment that you actually turn in. And you have to do those things in order to understand what it is that you're turning in. So if you are like completely lost and you just don't understand how to get through something, call me up and I'll walk you through the directions because I don't want you to fail because you don't understand the directions. If you don't do the work, then like that's a different story, but I want you to pass. I want you to get an A. All right, there's just gonna be 2 parts of your grade this year. Half of it's gonna be your assignments that you're gonna do. So half of your grade, like 50% of it, did you turn in all these quizzes? Did you turn in and what did you get on all of these assignments? And then there's gonna be the other half of your grade will be the final test. It's hard to put a test online because it's very easy to cheat. People could just look up the questions. So I'm going to make all of the tests from scratch because I don't want you to cheat on those. That's going to be a lot more work for me, but it's worth it because I mean, if you cheat, like you didn't learn anything. So I don't want you to be able to cheat. I want you to focus on learning. And then half of the questions are going to be like selected response, which is multiple choice, or short answer with just like one word. But the other half of it is going to be written as like a constructed response question. You're going to have to write an answer. But the crazy thing is that the questions you have to answer on your final test are already on the syllabus. I'll show you those in a second. All right, the other thing you can do in this class is earn bonus points. So last year there were no bonus points. If you've had me before that, I am like a huge bonus point person. I'm like, yes, do extra work because then you can get extra points. So basically on anything, on any assignment, if you go above and beyond and you do more than what I'm asking you to, I will give you extra points for that. And that could mean that you end up getting like 110 on an assignment. If there were like 10 points available, but you did an extra thing that I didn't ask for, then instead of getting 10 out of 10, which is 100 on that assignment, you'd get 11 out of 10, which is 110 on that assignment. Why is that so important? That's the extra credit of this class. And if you want to, if you like struggle on tests, get those bonus points when you're doing your assignments, because like if you have 110 average on your assignments and you get a 60 on your test, that still will average out for you so you can get like a B in the class overall. So that's a really good way to boost your grade, and it's also just good because it shows you to do hard work. Go the extra mile. Your bosses, your teachers will recognize when you're going the extra mile, and that'll be really important for you in the long run. Okay, so this is part of the syllabus that I think everybody always ignores. It's the academic standards. I mean, honestly, if I was a student, I'd probably ignore it too because I'm like, whatever, I don't need to know the academic standards. The teacher's going to teach me those. But instead of just putting them on here this year, what I decided to do to hopefully make it easier for you at home when you're doing these classes online is I made each standard into a science question. So this first one that's on here is it's called Background Knowledge Essential Question. So this is a question that's asking you something that you are supposed to have learned already. So you're supposed to have learned about evolution. If you didn't, there are going to be some lessons on that to either refresh it or make sure you understand it if you've never been taught it correctly before, because a lot of people do not get good evolution lessons. I promise you that. I did not in high school either. So I will have that background one, but the other 3 questions are based on these academic standards. So there's 4 essential questions in this class, and there's 3 academic standards. But in order for you to answer these 3 questions, these ones that go with a standard, you have to have this background knowledge question. So basically, everything that we do in this class will answer one of these questions. So like if you do an assignment and it's about, let's see here, superbugs, viruses, or bacteria that become immune to antibiotics, and so then people are more risk at dying for them because there's no cure, you're going to be able to relate that to one of these questions. I'm just thinking one would be, what is evolution? Well, evolution can be the bacteria's population level changing over time. You could talk about it on a small scale and a large scale, and that's proof of evolution. So actually, almost everything we do in this class will answer all 3 of those or all 4 of those questions in some way. So I want to tell you what the academic standards are. If you click on one of these academic standards, it opens a hyperlink to the next generation science standard. So NGSS is a set of science standards that were created. It's kind of like Common Core, but it's Common Core for science. And I actually really like the standards. They're really big and broad though. So there's a lot of information here. So this is the like short version that I'm circling right now with my mouse. And if you roll down and you scroll, this is the long definition of that. So this tells you what do you need to know, like what vocabulary words are important in this class. So even though this is about evolution, it says right here I saw something about amino acids, but now I can't find it because I'm looking for it. Oh, look here. See, DNA sequences can code for the same amino acid. So when we talk about an amino acid in this class, you can find exactly why we're doing that if you look at these standards. Each of the standards has a question under it. So here is, for this first standard, the question. How do we know that evolution happens? Because evolution has happened in the past, but it's also happening right now, and it'll continue to happen as long as life exists, at least on this planet. I don't know what life might be like on another planet. That's an astrobiology question, and this is just regular biology. Okay, apply concepts of statistics and probability to support explanations that organisms with an advantageous heritable trait tend to increase. Oh my gosh, okay, so like you're reading that and you're like, Miss Arneson, I don't do science as a hobby. How am I supposed to know what these words mean? Well, I mean, you probably don't. I mean, unless you're a nerd. I'm a nerd, so I would know even if I wasn't in a science class. But basically what that means is, what does evolution look like on a small scale? So if we zoom in and we're just looking at DNA, what is evolution going to look like on a really small scale like that? And then the next question is going to be the adaptation and the evolution of populations. So this question is, what does it look like on a large scale? The way I like to think of scale is it's comparing the size of 2 things. So like, yeah, you could say an ant is very small, but an ant is really huge compared to a cell, right? So you have to say, what is the ant small compared to? That's scale. The sun is really big compared to me, but the sun is really small compared to the universe. So scale is when you're figuring out like how big something is, how old it is, but you're basing that on comparing it to other things. So basically we're going to look at evolution on a small scale and evolution on a big scale. How evolution happens, and then basically what is it? That's what we're going to focus on in this class. All right, go ahead and take your quiz, turn it in, and then you can move on to the next assignment.